welcome to episode 2 of Starstruck BJJ. This one is a bit more personal. We decided to use it as an opportunity to let you learn about our personal lives. We'll be taking you through what our typical day looks like, and we'll also be sitting down with our professor, Carlos Varona, so we can talk about the gym where we train and the culture there. I try to start my day by rehydrating. Lately, I've been using this hydrogen water bottle from Nord Hydro. It pumps hydrogen gas into the water and is great for recovery and performance. Then I have coffee and breakfast for the kids. I work as a manual therapist, so I do sports massage and use a range of techniques to support recovery. That means packing a bunch of different tools plus my training gear. Once the kids are ready, we're usually out of the door by about 8:20 to get them to school for 10 to 9. From there, I head straight to the gym. This morning, I've got a 9 a.m. jiujitsu private. I try to lift or do some kind of strength work every day to stay injury-free and keep myself strong so I can carry on smashing all the guys. At 10 a.m., we've got morning class. We've got 3 no Ghee and 2 Ghee classes a week, plus open mat on Saturdays. And occasionally I'll do an evening class on a Monday. That's a Ghee class. I don't like to train in the evening too much though, because I find I get hyped up and it interferes with my sleep. After the training, I head straight out to see clients. Today I've got 3 booked back to back. In my sessions, I use soft tissue mobilization, dry cupping, stretching, scraping, all techniques I've personally found helpful in recovering from my own injuries. This, for example, is a form of electrotherapy that helps with pain and recovery. And this is a heated muscle scraping tool that's excellent for releasing tightness in the fascia. My final client of the day is an assisted stretching session. We work through long, deep holds to release tension and reset the body. Client work really varies depending on who I'm seeing and what they're dealing with, but I love the diversity and the problem solving that comes with it. And once I'm done here, I head straight back to the gym to help Rob teach a private to one of his students. He's dealing with a neck injury at the moment, so he's taking things a bit easier. I think that's one of the hardest things about balancing training and teaching, is that you're putting your body under a lot of stress on a daily basis. And often there's no time to properly recover and heal when you've got an injury. So at this point, it's normally well into the afternoon and I'm super hungry because I don't tend to have breakfast. So an epic brunch followed by collecting the kids from school, and I take them to jiu-jitsu. They've got a love-hate relationship with jiu-jitsu. Some days they love it, other days I really have to force it. But for me, self-defense is such a critical life skill that it's non-negotiable. They have to keep doing it. And then I take them home and make them dinner. And at that point, it's time to chill. So today I injured my knee, so I'm going to be doing a little self-treatment to help with the pain and bring down the inflammation. That's it from me, and over to Rob.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my morning routine. I usually wake up and then I try to wait around 90 minutes before I have my first cup of coffee. I mean, that's the ambition. It doesn't always work. It depends on when I wake up and the plan for the day. I'm nerdy when it comes to listening to Mr. Huberman, and I do my best to follow his advice on different topics, nicotine amongst them, if not consumed through smoking or vaping. Very Gucci for you, very Gucci. So I do that, and then I'm off to the gym to do some weight or some mobility or some stretching. Last week has been more focused on recovery and neck recovery and massage for me, because my neck is a bit jammed, purely muscular, so I'm trying to get that released. And then I'm morning class at 10 on Mondays and Fridays lately for the last, I don't know, few months. I've also been doing a leg lock course. So first session was more like basics, fundamentals, and then this one is a little bit more intermediate. So today it's Friday, so it's leg lock day. It's with a really cool black belt called Cillian from Germany. And yeah, I like his way of teaching, and we're gonna go with him to Naga next month. After leg locks today, I'm teaching a private. That's what I usually do after morning class. 1 or 2 privates, and then I'm really starving and looking forward to breaking my fast. So I'm hitting the brunch hard. After brunch, usually I go back home, I walk the dogs, and then I'm off to teach kids class. I teach 2 groups of kids, one at the Swedish school here in Spain, in Marbella, for 2 hours, 2 days a week, and then I teach kids at Flow Academy who are competing. And we have a competition coming up in beginning of June in Malaga. So we're working on some details and game plans as well with them. After that, I have another private that I'm giving, and then it's either train myself. Today I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna let my neck rest, or it's enjoy Friday night, which usually is me like doing a sauna or chilling. Yeah, that's more or less it.
So we're trying to now do some gambling because we're avid gamblers, and our favorite platform to gamble is starsplay.com. So Rob's just
On point, G. You're gonna be happy with this one, guys.
So we're doing some gambling, as you can see. Robert's making a deposit to see if he can win big. We are going to match his 200 euros, so he's going to have a 400 euro deposit in the Starsplay account.
Okay, guys. So today we are going to do some gambling. Mainly because we have our main sponsor, which is Starsplay, and as you may have seen on our cool hats and tank tops, training geese, competition geese, even belt. And today we're gonna log into the website. We've just created an account. We've deposited some money, and now we're gonna have a look. I like gambling. I'm not used to doing like slots really. I'm more into like the live casino, as you see up here. So they have sports betting, they have live casino, and then they have casino. I think we're gonna do a little bit of everything, right? Just a little.
Deposited so much money, so
Just a little
bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So we're playing Aztec Magic Bonanza. Let's go. Okay, we're not gonna buy a bonus here. What we are gonna do is that we're gonna place our bets. We're gonna place 5 euros a spin, and let's go. That's 100. I just. 358 euros. very in control, and I can kind of like understand the patterns. So as you can see here, we just won 489 euros. So now our balance is 833. Thank you very much. Yeah, and as you can see, that's how you do it. That's how you turn your money from like 100 and something into 800. So yeah, just jump on Stars Play and get it going, guys. Okay, so we're here with Carlos Varona, the founder and professor of Flow Academy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me.
Always.
Can you tell me your story in terms of jiu-jitsu? I mean, and also in terms of life and your background, and more or less from the get-go and then leading up to where you are now.
Okay, well, martial arts came into my life through my father. He was a black belt in karate and used to come home all banged up, and eventually put me into taekwondo. So from a very young age, I got into martial arts, and I was always playing sports. But it wasn't until I was 19 that I started doing jiu-jitsu, and that was at the military base. So my mother's from Spain and my father's from the US. So when I started jiu-jitsu, I was on the military base in Rota with Team Choco, and that was my introduction to jiu-jitsu. And it was just an amazing vibe. Everybody was training hard. It was a couple times a week. It was free on the military base. And at the beginning, I had no idea what it was. And it wasn't until I went up in there and, got somebody that was twice my size about a month and a half after training, that when I choked him out and almost choked him unconscious, I said, oh, man, I could do this. And I really started just to believe, like, wow, this could actually be for me. And so there was like some lifestyle changes. I was still young and, doing young kid type things, but I knew that jiu-jitsu was like something that I really wanted to focus and continue doing. And then once I was purple belt, I moved to the US, and that's where I really started to take off in my jiu-jitsu journey. I started teaching at blue belt, so that helped me develop a pretty technical style and game. And through teaching, the way it usually is one teaches, two learn. So I really felt like it just helped instill a good muscle memory and a wide spectrum of techniques that can be adapted to big and small people. So when I was brown belt, I was also helping run an academy while I was in Jacksonville. It was called Smiley's Academy, and it was really cool. And was always actively competing since white belt. And even now, actively competing. The only thing that's held me back from being able to compete has just been, a few injuries that just slowed me down. But as we get older, I'm 39 years old now, and just grateful to be doing what I love to do for a living, and all day teaching, training, and really feel like I'm embracing the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, which isn't only just jiu-jitsu. It's how we handle ourselves off the mats, and also just the way we're able to deal with things that life might throw at us. So jiu-jitsu has just been an amazing part of my life. So.
Tell us about the academy, Flow Academy. When was it founded?
All right, well, the Flow Academy, we founded in 2016. I had moved to Marbella 3 years prior to that, and it was called Dynamic Team. So I started my team here in Marbella, Spain. I would say, what was it, 2015? I think it was 2015? No, I think 2013 actually, 2013, and then 2016 is when I founded the Flow Academy. And the Flow Academy, the vibe that we wanted to create for it was a yoga / obviously jiu-jitsu and functional training. We had like a healthy cafe as well within the Flow Academy. And unfortunately after COVID, we closed that place down and just started teaching in different gyms. So when I started teaching in different gyms, it was like the Flow Academy just kind of, I had my students that had been my, since I moved here to Marbella. So for the last 13 years, I've had some students that I've been able to bring from white to all the way to black belt, which has been amazing. My brother being one of them, which was actually my first black belt that I was able to promote. And yeah, the Flow Academy now, it's separated kind of into 2 different locations. Eventually we'll have one main just home base that will have like everybody located, but I've just been lucky to be able to, have reach at 2 different locations and have a morning crew and an evening crew, because not everybody trains 2 times a day, only the rare savages like us.
And tell us, what's the schedule like? What's the current setup with the 2 different spots? And
Yeah, so right now it's cool because I've been able to grow and build a steady team of coaches that are helping me also run the academy. So it's not all depending on just me to be able to run it. And it's nice, just like I have you helping to teach the beginners class, and I got the other black belts that are helping teach all the other classes, whether they're Ghee or no Ghee. So it's good. I can also focus on teaching privates, which is a nice, income for me, and also helping a lot of people that are on the team that just want to be able to level up when, they're not doing the normal group classes. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
what would you say is the best thing about running an academy, and what would you say are like the toughest challenges?
Well, for me, the toughest challenges are basically building people up to a certain level and then having them having to leave, and they have to move country, or life situation that just prevents them from being able to train, or, moving country is the main one. I've had that with kids as well, where I've been able to, build a kid up to orange black belt, getting close to being my first green belt, and then all of a sudden they move, and when they move, it's just like, damn. So that's the hardships. It's just seeing people, leave, or maybe they quit for their own reasons and weren't able to overcome the challenges that life was throwing at them. So they, saw quitting as their way out, which means they never got to black belt. So that hurts to see that, because whenever everybody comes and starts training with me, I see the potential of an eventual black belt. That's my goal for everybody to be able to do. But the cool things are just being one of the main hubs for jiu-jitsu here on the coast, and been able to have a lot of people come and visit, sharing the vibe. People always give some amazing feedback, so it's been really cool just to have people from all over the world come in and visit and really enjoy the training with us. And here, for example, at the gym where we're at now, at Paddle Club, we're able to train in this outdoor academy, which is really cool. It's just something very unique that you only get if you're in, Thailand or,
Marbella.
Yeah, or Marbella.
In terms of your achievements, competition-wise and also jiu-jitsu-wise, which one would you list the top of your?
I've been able to make podium at Europeans a couple times.
At all belts, or?
No, at black belt. In the other belts, I actually never made podium at Europeans, and I've been competing since I was white belt. There's always super stacked divisions, and I always had little mental blocks, that I would just I'd get through a couple rounds and then just kind of land a little bit short, and usually be points, and I was just learning the game coming up. But there's a lot of years where I wasn't competing in Europeans. I didn't compete every year. So of course, when I was living in the U.S., I competed in all the national, and international competitions out there as well.
Also, to be fair, you've been black belt a long time.
Yeah, this year I get my 4th degree, so it's been 14 years now. Well, it'll be 14 years in September that I've been black belt, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how would you describe the culture at your academy at Flow, and what do you do to promote it?
Well, it's cool. We have a range of a lot of different people. We're an international melting pot. It's we got people from all different nationalities, and the cool thing that everybody is super welcoming and pretty chill. And I think part of that is also because the majority of my team, I have a few youngsters that are on the team. We have a whole kids program, but we don't have an overloading amount of teenagers. And I don't know if that's because, I'm also getting older, but I used to teach a lot more younger people. But now it's been I've noticed that the main age that I'm basically teaching here at the Flow Academy is usually late 20s to late 50s, So it's pretty cool. I want to do this until I'm old. I feel like jiu-jitsu is one of the few martial arts or sports that you can compete until you're about 70. So I see myself doing that, and the philosophy that I try to like promote at the academy is that like smooth, technical, and we train hard. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, we're try to be conscious and aware of like, you know, that we want to do this till we're older. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. You know, if we're feeling injured, if today's a day where we're just going to come and do technique, or if it's a day where we're just going to flow roll, then that's fine. But don't get me wrong, we train hard for competitions and, you know, open mats. You know, we push ourselves for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed since I started with you as a white belt. The first time I started traveling and training at different academies, that's when I realized the old school kind of ways and things that they do, which I didn't have a clue about until then. And then also that you get some perspective and you see, okay, so it's very open. It's not, I mean, it's strict in terms of we treat each other good, but it's not strict in terms of, okay, before you step on the mat, you make eye contact and you, like all of those things, you don't really enforce?
No, I would say I'm a little bit newer school in certain aspects. I mean, you know, I don't do the belt whippings anymore, graduations. Ever since I founded the Flow Academy, I remember the last belt graduation that I had, and I just remember seeing the video, the recap afterwards, and just seeing the face and the energy exchange when people were just getting whipped, and people that didn't come for, you know, weeks or months, sitting there whipping people that have been training and grinding every day. For me, I was just like, all right, I got to change that tradition. And a lot of these traditions come from, you know, Japanese culture, you know, judo style, and also the Gracie jiu-jitsu. And for me, even though my lineage is Gracie, like all of us that do jiu-jitsu, it's I don't feel like the traditions that I carry through are very Gracie-like, because there's a lot of things that I don't turn around and face the wall when you're tying your belt. I mean, if somebody needs to go to the bathroom, they can go to the bathroom, you know.
That's fair.
Sometimes people are like, excuse me, can I go take a, you know, and it's like, yes, you can go. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, and the things about cross-training, for example, I mean, I promote that constantly. I'm wanting to take you, I mean, we've traveled to many different academies and just been able to show our flow, show our game, and absorb how they run their classes and how they do their things. And, you know, people that are just like us, that are just in a different academy doing their thing, you know. So I think that we can always learn and grow from each other. And there's certain things that I feel like create this distance between academies, even though we're all doing the same thing. And it's that like that ego, that fear of, I don't know, that maybe somebody's not enough or they're scared or something, you know. And the whole being super strict with students, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like you're paying for a service, right? I feel like everybody should have the freedom to go and do whatever they want. But back in the day, in the old school day, you had to really travel across the country to train with this one guy, and you became almost like his disciple, you know. But,
which is cool as well.
Which is cool. But that's how it used to be. Yeah. Now it's like, I mean, there's no hidden techniques that I'm going to be able to teach you that he's not going to be able to, you know, teach you, or that you can't see online. So I feel like the culture just changed and evolved as time, you know, as jiu-jitsu just started growing. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of schools and a lot of the top schools rarely run their school so traditional and super strict like they did, you know, I don't know, I'd say about 15 years ago.
Yeah, because it also, for me, feels a bit like, it doesn't feel very jiu-jitsu-like to be that strict and to have those kind of, I don't know what it is, fears or emotions towards you being open and going different places and sharing your jiu-jitsu and training with others and meeting people. For me, since I'm kind of new into the game, it feels like that is jiu-jitsu. Like, it's such a big part of it.
Yeah.
And also you being mine and Lola's professor, and you're like encouraging us to do this and to go out and meet the other professors and train with them and do. It says a lot about your mentality also and how your academy is.
And if you find something that they're doing really cool in another academy, just like you showed me, like from your last trip, like for me, that's great. You give me some feedback. How can we be better as a team? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I take all that criticism as constructive criticism to help us grow. It's never like an attack, as if like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like, what? It's okay. I've kind of overcome that, you know?
In terms of competitions and competing, would you say competition is a big part and an important part of jiu-jitsu, or what's your take on that?
Since I've always competed since white belt, but I also started at 19, I know that there are certain people that they start in their 50s. To be honest, I have a few that start in their 50s and they're all down for competing. So some have it in their nature. But I don't force anybody to compete. I always recommend and encourage people to compete. Not to turn them into a champion, but basically to push them past their own mental barriers and fears that they have around competing. The fear of not being enough, for example, as well. You know, just train. And for the competitions, I feel like every time that you do sign up and start training for a competition, your game just improves. You take it to the next level. Your diet changes, you get more rest, you start training harder, you start trying to fix the little gaps. You might do a few private lessons to help you, just level up a little bit before. And next thing you know, you do the competition, whether you win or lose, you come back to training a better jiu-jitsu fighter, And you learn to deal with that mental, state that just kind of gets a lot of us at the beginning, especially. The fear of losing, or the fear of not performing or whatnot. So for me, I think that it is important to compete. I don't force it on people. I don't say, hey, if you don't compete, I'm not giving you your next belt. But especially if you're young, or if you have that competitive nature, I definitely recommend to get that experience in, And for me, it's you're competing at the level that you're at whatever belt you're at, with people around your weight and in your age division. So it's not like I'm saying, go and fight the giant black belt, have fun, good luck.
What's your main, if you had one tip for someone who is doing their first comp and feels the nerves and so what one advice would you give them?
One advice, so there's many things that I would give as advice, but if I was to say just one good advice, it would be get a really good solid warm-up in. And when I mean solid warm-up, I mean do your breath work, as in open up your lungs, take 20 or 30 deep breaths, get a proper little warm-up in for your joints, do some sprints, do some flow roll rounds, and then get to the point where you're exhausted. So get that first wind out of you so that you really feel like you've opened up your lungs. And what that's gonna do is, in the moment, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. But if you time it so that you do that about 20 minutes before your fight, all of a sudden you're gonna your heart rate's gonna go back down, you're gonna recover, and you've got that first wind out of you. So I feel like if I can give that one tip, and it's gonna be get the proper warm up, have the sweat coming down, your gi slightly moist as if you just trained a couple rounds, and you're gonna go in feeling a lot better and much more confident. Your reaction time is gonna be better, and I'm sure the lactic acid buildup will also be minimized.
And then in terms of your black belts, you mentioned that you've been able to bring some people from white to black. How many black belts have you promoted?
Yeah, we have currently 12 black belts. Since 2020, my brother Alex Verona, he was the first black belt that I promoted in 2020. And since then, in the last 5 years, been 12 black belts. And that's because a lot of the people I started with here about 13 years ago. So it's just if you look at the time frame that it takes to get a black belt, it's usually in the range between 8 and 12 years. And that's what we're getting at now.
I saw yesterday, actually, there was a survey, and it was out between, I think it was around 2,000 jiu-jitsu athletes and black belts. And on average, it was 13.3 years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, they train more than 13 years, but it's not consistently grinding daily and competing actively. Because if you are, you're getting it faster. You know what I'm saying? You're leveling up faster. I mean, nowadays, at the rate that people are leveling up, especially because how much information is out there, I mean, you got some purple belts that are training every day that are tapping out black belts, So it's I feel like nowadays, and John Danaher put it best, it's we're chasing skills, not really chasing the belts anymore. But the belt just comes as a consequence of you attaining those skills. So I think that's what makes people just become good, well-rounded, whether they're competitor or just hobbyists. The consistent, persistent training and the mindset of I'm not going to give up. Push through the injuries. Not push through the injuries as in train when you're injured, but notice that when you get injured, it's just part of the sport, and you're going to have to just learn how to maneuver yourself so that you can train even with the injury, but eventually just adapt your game. You might have to slow down, but you never stop.
Would you say gi or no gi?
So tough, you know. For me, gi has to be like the one that I can see myself doing the longest. No gi, I started no gi. I've always done no gi, but I've always been more drawn to gi. And since I've had my knee injuries, because I've had a few knee injuries, I felt more drawn to compete with the gi because I feel like I can really like hold and lock people into places and minimize certain scrambles and kind of like make up for a little bit of like, I wouldn't say laziness, but like sometimes passive game, because when you have certain injuries, you can't just be aggressive and attacking all the time. You got to respect and recognize the needs and the limitations that we might have. So I feel like that as you get older and the longer you're in the sport, you start accumulating little things that, you know, some kind of just pass and you never feel again, but some stay with you for a long time. So it forces you to evolve and modify and just kind of like build a game where you're able to actually keep training. And for me, it's like, as a black belt, I'm still learning and growing all the time. You know, the journey hasn't even slowed down. It just keeps ever expanding. Like our spiral on our Flow State brand.
Tell us about the brand.
Yeah, the brand is sweet, man. Started it last year, and I'll tell you what, it's the most unique gis that I've ever felt. The material, insane. And our super lightweight one is the lightest gi in the world. Style, I feel like, is really cool. And this is just one of many colors, but now it's, you know, obviously we've been in the sport for a while. I've been in the sport even longer than you, so it's like, it's cool to be able to have somebody with your background and wanting to like partake in the jiu-jitsu lifestyle and just like already start merchandising. And I feel like it's just super cool just to be able to represent our brand, especially in competition, and now sponsoring athletes so that they can also represent our brand in competitions. So super cool. Couldn't be happier.
It feels like a very cool addition, like a nice little thing to have that also opens up other doors and you meet new people around.
Definitely.
And people want the brand and asking about it.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for having me.
Also regarding the gi and the no gi, it's interesting because you're the third professor we've done this interview with, and everyone's said that they prefer the gi.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Look, with the gi, I feel like size at a certain point matters a little bit less. If we're sparring no gi and you're explosive, you're sweaty, I mean, it's just very difficult to handle compared to with the gi. With the gi, if you got solid grips and you're in good positioning with good head positioning, I mean, the thing is that they're both super technical. But obviously in the no-gi world now, it's like very dynamic with the leg locks. And for me, I respect leg locks a lot. I practice them, I teach them all the time as well. So I think it's a very important part of the game. But in the no-gi, I feel like there's people who only focus on going for leg locks. And then it does increase the risk of injury at times. But that's why it's important also, just like the argument to that is improve your leg lock defense. Or tap. But it's just like, do you tap when they're reaping your knee before they even go into it? Sometimes it's like, you feel like, well, if I do the right escape with right timing and they're not really trying to hurt me, then you have the possibility to escape.
Yeah. But when we're experienced and we have a marathon kind of view and we're competing this year, maybe just tap.
Yeah, for sure, just tap. I mean, tap or snap. But with the gi, there can always be the little injuries as well happening. But I feel like you minimize the risk because of the friction, and you're able to really like just hold people down. And yeah, attaching to the back and to certain positions with the gi.
How would you describe your game?
Well, I've been always pretty well-rounded. I love guard. I love butterfly guard. I love close guard. I like to invert. The thing is, I like everything. I like to pressure pass. I do a lot of speed passing as well. I love arm bars. I mean, for me, I used to be a big choking guy until the fingers started saying, why are you abusing me so much? Why are you not letting go of these grips? Why are you choking people when the grip is not absolutely perfect? Well, this is what experience taught me. So I feel like nowadays I've just been focused a lot more on arm bars and kimuras, and only choking when the grip is on perfect. Or also, grips are sore, do no gi. Knees are sore, do gi.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people would really describe you as very dynamic. And also what appealed to me is that you're lightweight and you have a very, very open and fun and beautiful kind of routine. And sometimes you go like, okay, that's the old school way to do it, and this is how I like to do it.
Yeah.
For me, that's like, yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah, I've been taught certain things. I was teaching certain things for years a certain way because it's the way I was taught until I just started. I mean, I've always been open to receiving knowledge from different teachers. I always studied like instructional videos from the beginning, from Marcelo Garcia. I mean, nowadays, obviously from Danaher, but Mendez, Cobrinha, all the greats from back in the day, Ribeiros. And so I've always been taking in knowledge as well as from my teacher that I was learning from at the time, wherever school I was at, whether I was in Spain or was in the US. But putting them all together and then finding out that I might have missed certain little details. And then once I implement those little details, it just makes the technique work at a higher percentage. So then it just makes sense. So then I start teaching it that way. For me, I never just teach something that I just watch. I have to try it and feel it and know a little bit the ins and outs of it before I get comfortable teaching it. The worst is teaching something you don't really know and somebody asks a question and then you try to show it again and you realize, oh,
Wait.
I don't really know this myself. So, you know.
Do you get there though?
Well, I have a really good ability of being able to see a technique and make sense and actually do it.
Yeah.
And I can break things down. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I'm an intuitive teacher as well. I can plan a class, but if I see who's in the class, I can kind of dictate like what kind of techniques I'm going to be teaching. Although we do, you know, at the Flow Academy, we do stick to a certain theme, you know, whether it's a monthly theme or weekly theme. Yeah, I mean, you know, having such a wide range of techniques to be able to choose from, and it's, you know, from the time on the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like different trends are coming and going and that you kind of like adapt to them as well?
Definitely. I mean, I remember when Barambola was first, you know, being popular, and I never really started believing in it until I went to a Rafa Mendes seminar.
Really?
And then he did it to me during technique, and I was like, I felt like he was literally pushing me down with his feet, and I was like, what? I mean, and I was okay with De La Riva guard, but I never felt the inversion and the constant contact and control. So certain people that like really make certain moves popular on the big stage, whether it's in Worlds or Pan Ams or Europeans or no-gi leg lock games, for example. I mean, since Gordon Ryan started coming up, obviously like the whole Danaher system has been, the leg lock system, amazing. And it's been just helping me develop and become a better teacher myself, because people are putting down all these knowledge, taking so much time to dissect and like really, you know, just categorize and make it easier to learn. So what does that do? It makes it easier for me to teach as well. So, and I always like to give credit to the people that I kind of like take that knowledge from, you know.
Why would you say jiu-jitsu is so popular and that it's growing so much nowadays?
I would say because it has no end. It's not like a fixed, like, it's not a capped martial art or sport where it's like, all right, there's X amount of techniques. This is all, it's in this box. This is all there is. There is no, you know, it's like, it's a relatively new martial art compared to a lot of the traditional ones. But the reality is that there's still being techniques developed, like, I don't know, weekly, daily. I mean, people are posting things that you just would have never seen, you know, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I remember back in the day, my half guard was to get back to close guard. Now there's just thousands of techniques from half guard. It's insane. So, yeah, trends come and go, and yeah, techniques also come and go, and sometimes they get revisited years later. Just like started doing deep half guard. It's been about 8 years since I did deep half guard, and thanks to somebody wanting to learn it in a private lesson, light bulb started going off, started feeling the technique, and then I started, oh my gosh, let's revisit it, let's bring it back, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about our journey? What you remember from me starting because I started my first ever jiu-jitsu class with you, and how you see me as a student, and also areas you think I need to work on in development.
Okay. Well, yeah, I remember us being in the Verona gym, and you started no gi. I remember us rolling no gi, and I remember you had a samurai bun. You looked like the last samurai. Hair was like down to here, you know, and you had a little bit of MMA or wrestling background. And I just remember that you had a good forward pressure, but you kept getting caught in those guillotines. And but what was cool was that from the beginning, you started taking private lessons from me, started taking private lessons from my brother. And I feel like it helped you develop a really good base from the beginning. And also you being a light featherweight, you needed to gather a good technical base so that you can also just, you know, be able to survive the first couple years of training. And now look at you. Now you're, you know, super technical coach that are giving private lessons to a lot of white belts and, you know, running basics fundamentals classes, competing. Super proud of your development. And it's been cool to see how, you know, just each belt, you know, leveling up in certain ways and aspects. So it's really cool.
And what do you think I should and need to work on the most? Like when you see my game and when you roll with me, what would you say is like, okay, this, my friend, we need to do?
I would say just have a game for everybody. You know, have a game for people that are your weight. Have a game for people that are heavier than you, so that you learn how to adapt your jiu-jitsu. So that your jiu-jitsu is not just for competition to fight people that are your age. So that your jiu-jitsu is not just a competition kind of jiu-jitsu, but that you can adapt your jiu-jitsu to all different kinds of people. So I think that's one thing that's just going to help you just become a better teacher as well. And I know that you do private lessons with some big boys. So I think that's also like the beginning of you just being comfortable with, like, you know, rolling with the big guys. But, you know, it's not easy being a smaller guy on the mat. And for me, I'm a lightweight, and I'm still usually the smaller guy on the mat. But then you go on and you're like 10 kilos lighter than me. Yeah. So I know it's definitely not easy, but the good thing is that now as a purple belt and getting, you know, now you're 2-stripe purple belt, getting closer towards brown, you start to develop a certain game and confidence that, like, you don't care who's in front of you. You trust in your technique, and I think that's what's going to take you to the next level. It's just being able to trust in your game and technique to be able to adapt it to anybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys.